Impossible. Absolutely impossible. The idea is absurd. Mr. Poirot looked at him quite calmly but said nothing. तो Poirot ने ये आइडिया दिया कि हाँ कि मिसेस लाइडनर का जो फॉर्मर हस्बैंड है वो यही है, वो या वो उसने या उसके भाई ने मर्डर किया है और मिसेस लाइडनर जो थी उसको पहचान नहीं पाई है. Exactly. Reflect a little on the. You mean to suggest that my wife's former husband is one of the expedition and that she didn't recognize him? Exactly. Reflect a little on the facts. Nearly 20 years ago, your wife lived with this man for a few months. Would she know him if she came across him after that lapse of time? हो सकता है क्या? ये तो थोड़ा मुश्किल लग रहा है महसूस करना. 20 साल में भी इतनी तो चेहरा नहीं बदलता. I think not. His face will have changed, his build will have changed, his voice may not have changed that much, but this is a detail he can attend to himself. हाँ, और बीवी पहचान नहीं पाती थी. या कोट पहन के या मूछे लगा के. अच्छा चलो. And remember, she's not looking for him amongst her own household. She visualizes him as somewhere outside, a stranger. No, I do not think she would recognize him, and there's a second possibility. The young brother, the child of those days who was so passionately devoted to his elder brother, he is now a man. जो छोटा बच्चा है जो अपने भाई का वो था वो अब तो बड़ा हो गया है. Will she recognize a child of 10 or 12 years old in a man nearing 30? मुश्किल है. ये तो ठीक है. Yes, there is a young William Rosner to be reckoned with. Remember, his brother in his eyes may not loom as a traitor but as a patriot, a martyr for his own country, Germany. In his eyes, Mrs. Leitner is a traitor, the monster who sent his beloved brother to death. A susceptible child is capable of great hero worship. And a young man can easily be obsessed by an idea which persists into his adult life. Quite true, said Dr. Rayleigh. The popular view that a child forgets easily is not an accurate one. Many people go right through the life in the grip of an idea which has been impressed on them in very tender years. Bine. You have these two possibilities. Frederick Posner, a man by now of 50 odd, and William Rosner, whose age would be something short of 30. Let us examine the members of your staffs from this point of view. This is fantastic, murmured Dr. Ledna. My staff? The members of my own expedition? And consequently considered above suspicion, said Poirot dryly. A very useful point of view. Come and cons. Who could emphatically not be Frederick or William? वही लड़का था जो बहुत किसी पे लट्टू था वो वाला निकलेगा मर्डर. मुझे तो पता नहीं शक किसी और पे है. हस्बैंड पे. हाँ, क्योंकि जब वो गई ना तो हस्बैंड नीचे स्टेज से आ रहा था ना और ऊपर लगा है. पता नहीं, हो सकता है मैं गलत हूँ, पता नहीं. The woman, naturally, Miss Johnson and Mrs. Mercado are crossed off. Who else? Carey. He and I have worked together for years before I even met Louis. And he is also on the wrong age. He is, I should judge, 38 or 39. Too young for Frederick and too old for William. Now for the rest. There is Father Levigny and Mr. Mercado. Either of them could be Frederick Posner. But my dear sir, cried Dr. Leidner, of mingled irritation and amusement, Father Levigny is known all over the world as an epigraphist, and Mercado has worked for years in a well-known museum in New York. It is impossible that either of them should be a man you think. Poirot waved an airy hand. Impossible, impossible. I take no account of this word. Impossible, as I examine it very closely. But we will pass on for the moment. Who else have you? Karl Rater, a man with a German name? David Ammett? He has been with me 2 seasons, remember? He's a young man with a gift of patience. If he committed a crime, it would not be in a hurry. All would be very well prepared. Okay, you might be correct. Dr. Ledner made a gesture of despair. And lastly, William Coleman continued Poirot. He is an Englishman. Pourquoi pas? Did not Miss Lydna say that the boy left America and could not be traced? He might easily have been brought up in England. You have an answer to everything, said Dr. Ledna. I was thinking hard right from the beginning. I thought that Mr. Coleman's manner seemed rather more like a P.G. Woodhouse book than like a real live man. Had he really been playing the part all the time? Poirot was writing in a little book. Let us proceed with order and method, he said. On the first count, we have two names, Father Livigny and Mr. Mercado. On the second, we have Coleman, Emmett, and Ryder. Now let us pass to the opposite aspect of the matter, means and opportunity. Who amongst the expedition had the means and the opportunity of committing the crime? Carey was on the deck. Coleman was in Hassania, you yourself were on the roof. That leaves us Father Livigny, Mr. Mercado, Mrs. Mercado, David Emmett, Carl Ryder, Miss Johnson, and Nurse Mithran. Oh, I exclaimed, and I bounded in my chair. Mr. Poirot looked at me with twinkling eyes. Yes, I'm afraid, Monsieur, that you would have got to be included. It would have been quite easy for you to have gone along and killed Miss Lydna while the courtyard was empty. You have plenty of muscle and strength, and she would have been quite unsuspicious until the moment the blow would have struck. मतलब क्या हुआ मम्मा? पहला तो उसने कहा कि भैया कौन कौन हो सकता है जो कि फॉर्मर हस्बैंड या उसका भाई हो, या तो 50 का होगा या 30 का होगा, कि 20 साल का डिफरेंस था. तो उसमें से उन्होंने एक आदमी को निकाल दिया. फिर उसने कहा कि और औरतें भी निकल गई कि भाई किस किस के पास अपॉर्चुनिटी और मींस थे कि मर्डर कर सकें. ठीक है ना. तो उसने बोला नर्स रितरन तुम भी मर्डर कर सकती थी, तुम ताकतवर हो तो, और वो जो थे एकदम सस्पेक्ट नहीं करती है, तुम मार देती हो, खत्म कर देती हो, है ना. I was so upset I couldn't get a word out. Dr. Really, I noticed, was looking highly amused. Interesting case of a nurse who murdered her patients one by one. He murmured. मतलब एक नर्स ने अपने पेशेंट को मार दिया one by one. Such a look I gave him. Dr. Ledner's mind had been running on a different track. Not Emmett, Mr. Pyro, he objected. You can't include him, he was on the roof with me, remember? Emmett ko to nahi kyunki roof with me. Remember during the 10 minutes? Remember that, but we cannot exclude him. He could have come down, gone straight to Mrs. Ledner's room, killed her, and then called the boy back. Interesting. Mrs. Ledner जो नीचे आते औरत को मार देते. Or he might have killed her on one of the occasions when he sent the boy up to you. Dr. Ledner shook his head, murmuring, What a nightmare! It's all so fantastic. To my surprise, Poirot agreed. Yes, that is true. This is a fantastic crime. बड़ा जबरदस्त crime किया है. One does not often come across them. Usually murder is very sordid, very simple. But this is an unusual murder. I suspect, Miss Dr. Ledner, that your wife was an unusual woman. He had hit the nail on the head with such accuracy that I jumped. इतनी accuracy से था कि jump किया. Is that true, nurse? He asked. Dr. Ledner said, Tell him what Louis was like, nurse. You are unprejudiced. I spoke quite frankly. She was very lovely, I said. You couldn't help admiring her and wanting to do things for her. I've never met anyone like her before. बहुत ही सुंदर थी. और बस अगर आप उसको बस देखते रहो, उनके लिए काम करने का मन करता था. ऐसी औरत थी. Thank you, said Dr. Leidner and smiled at me. That is a valuable testimony coming from an outsider, said Poirot politely. Well, let us proceed. Under the headings of means and opportunity, we have 7 names. Nurse Lathren, Miss Johnson, Mrs. Mercado, Mr. Mercado, Mr. Writer, Mr. Emmett, and Father Livigny. Once more he cleared his throat. I've always noticed the foreigners can make the oddest noises. Let us for the moment assume that a third theory is correct, that is, the murderer is Frederick or William Brosner, and that Frederick or William Brosner is a member of the एक्सपीडिशन स्टाफ फ्रेडरिक या विलियम ब्रॉसनर ने मर्डर किया है और वो इस स्टाफ का मेंबर है. By comparing both lists, we can narrow down our suspects on this count to four: Father Levigny, Mr. Mercado, Carl Reiter, and David Emmert. Father Levigny, Mr. Mercado, Carl Reiter, and David Emmert. Father Levigny is out of question, said Dr. Leitner with decision. He is one of the Paris planks in Carthage, and his beard's quite real, I put in. Monsieur, said Poirot, a murderer of the first class never wears a false beard. जो फर्स्ट क्लास मर्डरर है वो कभी भी फॉल्स बियर्ड नहीं पहनेगा. बियर्ड नहीं पहनेगा. How do you know that the murderer is the first class? I asked rebelliously. Because if he were not, the whole truth would be plain to me at this instant, and it is not. इतना फर्स्ट क्लास मर्डर किया है कि मुझे तो पता नहीं लग रहा कि किसने किया है. फर्स्ट क्लास आदमी है. Anyway, I said, referring to the beard, it must have been taken quite a time to grow. That is a practical observation, said Poirot. Dr. Leitner said irritably. But it's ridiculous, quite ridiculous. Both he and Mercado are well-known men. They have been known for years. Poirot turned to him. You have not the true vision. You do not appreciate an important point. If Frederick Brosner is not dead, what has he been doing all these years? He must have taken a different name. He must have built himself a different career. फ्रेडरिक बॉस्टर ने दूसरा नाम रखा होगा और एक अलग कैरियर बनाया होगा. As a Perry Blank, said Dr. Really skeptically. It's a little fantastic that, yes, confessed Poirot, but we cannot put it right out of the court. Besides, there are other possibilities. The young nun said dryly, if you want my opinion, on the face of it, there's only one of your suspects that even plausible, and that is young Carl Reiter. There's nothing actually against him, but come down to it, you've got to admit a few things. He's the right age. He's got a German name. He's new this year and had the opportunity all right. He'd only got to pop out of his photographic place, cross the courtyard to do his dirty work, and hair back again, while the coast was clear. If anyone would have dropped into the photographic room while he was out of it, he can always say later that he was in the dark room. I don't say he's your man, but if you're doing to suspect someone, I'd say he's by and far away the most likely. Mr. Poirot didn't seem very receptive. He nodded gravely but doubtfully. Yes, he said, he's the most plausible, but it may not be as simple as that. Then he said, let us say no more at present. I would like to know if I may to examine the room where the crime took place. Certainly, Dr. Leitner fumbled in his pocket and looked at Dr. Rayleigh. ठीक है ना? Captain Maitland took it, he said. Maitland gave it to me, said Riley. He had to go off on that Kurdish business. He produced the key. Dr. Leitner said hesitantly, do you mind if I don't? Perhaps, nurse? Of course, said Dr. Poirot. I quite understand. Never do I wish to cause you unnecessary pain. If you will be good enough to accompany me, monsieur. Certainly, I said. अब चैप्टर 17 है मामा, पढ़ना है कि नहीं पढ़ना है? 2-3 पेजेस पढ़ लेते हैं. The stain by the washstand. Mrs. Leitner's body had been taken to Hassana for post-mortem, but otherwise her room had been left exactly as it was. There was so little in it that it had not taken the police long to go over it. To the right of the door as you entered was the bed. Opposite the door were 2 barred windows giving on the countryside. Between them was a plain oak table with two drawers that served Mrs. Ledner as a dressing table. तो कल पढ़ेंगे माँ तुम्हें बताओ मम्मी